Football, the sport that captured the heart of America. An industry that continues to grow to this day. Massive stadiums built to contain these colossal teams. In order to grow and thrive, football had to go through a great deal of changes to become the sport we know today. These changes affected every level of football, especially college football practice. The popularity of football increased greatly due to both world wars introducing the sport to the lower classes. Football also saw the rise in helmets and shoulder pads and other protective equipment to better safeguard the players.
And how you can do things better, how you can do things safer, how you can do things more efficient.
Schools eager to promote football also discovered a challenge. Many universities wanted to support the football program, but at the same time they had to ensure that the students were receiving an education. Some schools, such as the University of Chicago, simply decided to get rid of the football program entirely, while other schools were hit with fines and sanctions due to their inability to follow the rules set by a regulatory commission such as the NCAA. College football practice today resembles something very different than it did simply 5 years ago. Early football philosophy stated that more contact a player could receive during practice, the better. While Oklahoma drills and contact in general is still very common in everyday football, there is a bigger emphasis on technique. As football grew, so did the number of conferences and divisions that were used to separate the growing sport. Only athletes for Division I and II football can receive scholarships for their athleticism, while Division III athletes would simply rely on amateurism or simply playing for the love of the sport. Another recent major change is the complete removal of 2 days from college practice.
My freshman year was the last time we did 2 days before the NCAA made those illegal. So,
while 2 days still do survive in high school football, there are heavy restrictions to limit it. The purpose of these changes are to protect the players from injury and or death and still preserve the violent nature of football.
Really for me, the biggest thing is the sport is safer now than it ever has been. And that really came with the change in protocols with concussions and that kind of stuff. Also with, keeping heads out of tackles. And I think a lot of it, because is education to coaches of, proper ways to tackle, that kind of stuff. And, just trying to make the game as safe as we can while also keeping it what it is. It is a violent sport.
Despite these rules and precautions, injury and even tragedy can still strike on the practice field. A grim reminder of this can be seen at the University of Maryland. Sophomore offensive lineman Jordan McNair was hospitalized after a conditioning test and shortly after passed away in the hospital. McNair was deeply respected by his teammates, and his memory is honored through a scholarship and his locker being encased in glass. Despite these risks, young people from across the country, even across the world, still dedicate their lives to playing the sport that they love. Even as the sport changes and evolves, the common factor throughout time is that the simple love and dedication a player has for the sport. In the whole grand scheme of stuff, the core values and beliefs and dedication that the players bring in have been roughly the same throughout the years?
I think so. Yeah, guys that Guys that want to play. Guys that want to work. We always talk about the 10-80-10 rule. There's about 10% that work their rear ends off really elite level. There's about 80% that kind of, is kind of committed, but then there's like the 10% that aren't. And what you always, the 10% usually end up deciding they don't want to continue to do it.
Football continues to grow to this day and will continue to grow into the future. Thank you for watching the video. Go Bears and go Huskers.